Oh well, what do they have? 2 caches open? I love
So give me one.
16, please.
16? Okay, you're ready to go. So I have to do them one by one, but then you can place them there, all right?
That's the sound of Jeff Dobro at a Toronto supermarket last month, paying for a whole grocery cart full of kosher-for-Passover Coca-Cola. Dobro had been calling around to stores for weeks, starting as early as February, to find out when his favorite version of Coke was going to be available. He was even on a first-name basis with some of the managers. Finally, on Monday, March the 21st, Dobro was able to load up his car with 16 2-liter bottles of the kosher-for-Passover Coke. It's made specially for the Jewish holiday. Coke uses cane sugar in it instead of the usual high-fructose corn syrup because many Jewish people are not permitted to eat products on Passover that are derived from corn. According to Jeff Dobro and many fans like him, including non-Jewish people, it's the real thing. A lot sweeter, too, a once-a-year guilty pleasure.
And frankly speaking, it's the best soft drink that you can get, in my humble opinion.
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Monday, April the 4th, 2022. Welcome to the CJN Daily, sponsored by Metropia. I have to thank the CJN's managing editor, Mark Weisblot, for giving me the idea for today's episode. I actually don't drink Coke. I never have. And I didn't know about the whole excitement for Coke fans when Kosher-for-Passover Coca-Cola comes out. So here's what I've learned. In Canada, the Coca-Cola bottling company is owned by Larry Tannenbaum, who also owns the Maple Leafs and the Raptors and Toronto FC and the Argos, and part of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Coca-Cola produced a little more than 54,000 bottles of Passover Coke in February. The night before they make it at the company's Brampton, Ontario plant, they sanitize the line using kosher carbon dioxide. A rabbi watches the cane sugar being unloaded, and he watches the bottles being filled. Coca-Cola's actually been making kosher-for-Passover Coke since the 1930s, after a rabbi at the world headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, was told the secret recipe and then sworn to secrecy just so he could certify it was kosher for Passover. In the States, the Passover Coke bottles have yellow caps. The bottles made in Canada for our market look pretty much the same as they do the rest of the year, except there's a special Passover stamp from one of the Canadian Jewish rabbinical kosher organizations. There is one complication. Coke also makes a diet version for Passover, but it contains aspartame, and some Jews won't consume it because it's got kitniot in it. Coming up, we'll hear from Passover Coke addict Jeff Dobro. He'll break down for us why this Coke is different from all other nights. But first, here's what's making news elsewhere in Canada right now.
I'm Rachel Cohen-Yeshurun in Malay Dumim, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like.
One of the giants in the Canadian literary world has died. Publisher Malcolm Lester died on Friday in Toronto after a lengthy illness. If you've heard of the book None is Too Many, then you've seen one of his most famous publications. The book, by Professors Irving Abella and Harold Troper, outlined Canada's racist policies during the Second World War that banned Jewish immigrants from coming to safety and escaping the Holocaust. In the 1980s and 90s, Lester and his partners published books by famous authors, including June Callwood, Christopher Ondaatje, the pianist Glenn Gould, and mystery writer P.D. James. Most recently, Lester founded New Jewish Press at the University of Toronto to bring out important Jewish books. Mine was among the first crop of 5 to come out in 2018. Funeral services are scheduled for Monday. And joining me now is Jeff Dobro. You just bought 16 bottles. That's your first attempt at stocking up for Passover. So how long have you liked kosher for Passover Coca-Cola?
Well, I started drinking it probably when I started drinking pot back in the 60s, and I love the way it's made. I love the change in that one ingredient. It makes it sweeter. It makes it, in my opinion, a little bit healthier, although Coke's not healthy. But every year I start getting antsy 2 weeks, 3 weeks before it comes out. And then, like you said, this is my first shot, 16 bottles, and we'll see how it goes from there.
But do you personally serve it for seder? What's the tradition? Do you drink it before?
No, I won't. I probably won't drink it before. I may cheat with one bottle, but I remember at my grandparents' house, they were serving the Coca-Cola. And at the time, I wasn't observant at all. So to me, I didn't even realize the difference between Passover Coke and regular Coke. But as I grew older, I learned a little bit about it when it started. I just got curious.
Okay, so the reason that our listeners might not know and our viewers might not know if they don't drink this stuff, right, is because they put cane sugar in during Passover because the corn syrup that they normally use is not kosher for Passover, right? That's the reason why the flavor is different?
Yes, the corn syrup is tastes a little bit different. Some people, maybe even most people, don't know the difference, can't taste the difference. But if you're what I call a true aficionado, you can taste the difference between the corn syrup and the sugar, the cane sugar. The other reason is the difference between Ashkenazi Jews and the Sephardis is they can eat kitniot on Passover, whereas the Ashkenazi Jews are forbidden to eat corn.
And you get regular kosher Coca-Cola all year round? Yes, right?
Yes,
right.
yeah.
It's kosher. It's normally kosher.
Coca-Cola and Diet Coke are kosher. They have the hechsher. They are kosher.
Okay, so you actually, we should say to our listeners that you've been calling around all the different stores to do your little investigative, finding out. And how did you know this was here already? Because people have been waiting. You've been waiting, right, for a while.
Yeah. I started calling around last week. And some of the stores told me that they don't have it. They may have it next week or in 2 weeks. And from what I understood from speaking to a couple of people that I know, there's a bit of a supply problem this year, whether it's related to the COVID, I have no idea, but there's a supply shortage of bottles, caps, the boxes that they put and ship them in.
This bottle, it says regular taste, original taste. What does that mean?
Well, when Coca-Cola first came out, they did not use the corn syrup sucrose mixture. They used the cane sugar. But over the years, the corn syrup was less expensive. So they started to use that to sweeten the Coke, whereas the cane sugar was what Coke started with.
Is it more expensive than regular Coke during the year? Do you buy regular Coke during the year?
I do. And I bought it today. I believe it was 4 bottles for $10.
And what is it normally?
Well, you can get it on sale at certain locations for 99 cents sometimes. Most of the time, they're about $1.29 on sale, $1.79, $1.99.
Is this going to last you, or are you going to buy more? What do you think in your usual annual consumption? How many bottles do you normally drink?
I usually go through between the 2 seders and home and the office, and 16 to 20 bottles.
And this is you personally, or you share?
No, I share.
And how many bottles of Coke would you have, like, in a day? That's a lot. That's bad for you.
It's not great. I don't drink it like this during the year. However, when it comes to Passover time...
For people that need to understand what it tastes like, you said it's sweeter, but try to describe, like, something else that's not Coke that people would know how it would taste. What does it taste like?
I don't know what to compare it to.
Prosecco, caramel wine, Manischewitz wine. That's pretty sweet.
That is probably one of the toughest questions that I've ever had. What can you compare kosher for Passover Coke to? Well, in my opinion, it would have to be something that's sweetened with cane sugar.
So it doesn't taste like Manischewitz sweet, like sickly sweet. Some people love that stuff, right? Manischewitz.
Yeah,
Is it more sweet than that?
You know what? I think it's even sweeter than Kedem grape juice. And Kedem grape juice is sweet.
Sweet.
So what I would suggest, and I don't work for Coke, and I'm not getting paid by Coke. My family doesn't work for Coca-Cola, but if you're really interested in a sweet soft drink that is not the best drink in the world for you,
it's not going to kill you once a year.
It won't kill you on Passover.
Other things will kill you, like constipation, but we won't go there. Right?
Oh my gosh.
This is your first foray into the aisles to find it. Are you thinking that the other people besides Jewish people like this Coke? Have you ever seen that happen?
That's a very good point, because I read, I've done a little bit of homework on Coke, like when it was started, when it became kosher and so on. And I did read just recently that there are non-Jewish people that flock to the stores before Passover because they love the taste of the original Coke. The real thing. This is the real thing. And the one sweetened with corn syrup is good. It's passable, it's good, but it's not as good as this.
Now, Jeff wants everyone to know that since our interview, he went out and bought another half dozen bottles, so now that makes it 22. And that's what Jewish Canada sounds like for this episode of the CJN Daily, sponsored by Metropia. Integrity, community, quality, and customer care. Today's listener shout-out goes to Sheldon and Beth Rose of Richmond Hill, Ontario. And we'll end the episode with more on Passover Coke, this time from Vancouver's Marine Drive Superstore. They used to bring in Passover Pepsi all the time from Israel, but this year, with the pandemic and supply chain delays, they were worried it wouldn't arrive in time. So this year, Murat Dreschner, the kosher section manager, brought in kosher Passover Coke for the first time ever. The store is probably the first place in Canada to stock Passover Coke this year. They ordered 6,000 bottles. Dreschner had never tried Passover Coke before himself, so he and his general manager, Carlo Fierro, did a little taste test in the store to see what the fuss was all about.
And a lot of people love Coke, especially I know there's a few families, really a handful, that buy 50, 60 bottles at a time just to drink it through Pesach, because they have large families also, and that's kind of their thing. And so for whatever reason, people who don't drink pop throughout the year, Pesach is a time when they just need to have it. And we've seen the sales over the years with the pop that was coming in from Israel, and it just made sense to make sure that we keep bringing it in, mainly because it brings the customers here, and just another thing that we can offer them, for Pesach.
Have you ever tried kosher-for-Passover Pepsi or Coke, either of you?
We just tried it before the call for the first time.
You're taking one for the research for the team, right?
Research for the team. I could not tell the difference. We did a little bit of sampling upstairs with some of the other supervisors, and some of them did say it tastes sugary, more like a cane sugar, but I couldn't tell the difference between normal Coke or the Passover Coke.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they changed the ingredients somehow for Pesach, but this one has an MK hexer on it. I'm not sure if that's different throughout the year, but everyone says it tastes a little bit sweeter.
What do you think?
I also don't usually drink pop. I did sample it, so to me it was sweet. Even the 0-1 was sweet to me, so it's hard to know.